Welcome to Combos from the Couch by LifeStance Health, where leading mental health professionals help guide you on your journey to a healthier, more fulfilling life. Welcome to another episode of Combos from the Couch. I'm Nicolette Lianza, and I'm joined today by LifeStance therapist Sharon Cook. And we're exploring a thought experiment. What might therapy look like if Taylor Swift were the client? We'll consider patterns a therapist might notice in her relationships, career, and the very public way she processes life through her music. From early fame and public feuds to turning heartbreak into multi-platinum albums. And what's it like to grow up and heal when the whole world has an opinion about who you are? So welcome back, Sharon. Always wonderful to have you on.
Thanks, Nikki. Glad to be here.
Yes, excited for this conversation. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to become a therapist.
Okay. Well, I am a licensed professional clinical counselor. I am also a board certified and licensed in Ohio art therapist. I'm also a chemical dependent counseling assistant as well. So I have, I don't know, just compassion, I guess, a love for people and wanting to see them heal. I actually started off as a teacher. I was
Hmm.
in education for a few years. It didn't really work out. And what I noticed is the kids that I was working with, they needed more.
Okay.
And I couldn't be that for them. You know, there's politics and other things, and you can't get too close with the kids, right? I also, when I was in school, I had a degree in theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And at OU, I took a course, music therapy, and I found that. I'm like, oh, wow. And I started looking at maybe I could do drama therapy. And apparently that's not a huge thing here in the States. However, I found art therapy. And lucky for us, it's right here in Ohio in Cleveland at Ursuline
Mhm.
College. So I was able to get my degree in that, continued teaching for a little bit, and then went straight into more therapeutic settings. I work with children and adults, so the whole spectrum now, which is great and fun, and I love doing it. And I guess my passion is in the arts.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
as an art therapist, I go a little bit more expressive in my take. My personal thing is more painting. For me, I think painting brings out a lot of emotions. It is also very regulating and, the things it can do for our brain.
Mhm.
Um, I can look back at my life as a teenager and realize how much I used art in my own
Mm.
healing. Because
Mhm.
obviously, teenagers were all stuff all over the place. Um,
Right.
so I definitely used music, I used drawing, and I used writing. So I can look back at some of the poetry and maybe song lyrics, I guess, and art that I did. And so that was helpful for me.
Which brings us to looking at Taylor Swift, right? You're a Swiftie. You're definitely identified Swiftie, right?
Yes.
And love the shirt. I know for those listeners who can't see it, she's definitely representing a Taylor on her shirt for sure. And this is where we'll be diving in because it sounds like what you did as a teenager, which many of us have done as well, kind of to understand ourselves and everything, is that Taylor did this on just a grander scale. So as we dive in with that, based on what we see publicly, what patterns in Taylor Swift's relationships and career would stand out to you clinically?
So I think it's more what is perceived.
And
So she was labeled like what would we call it? A dater, like someone who dates a lot of people.
yeah,
Can't
yeah,
think of that
that,
word right now. But so she was told she dates too much, or
mhm,
she's never whatever. People just labeled her all the time because she
mhm.
was in the spotlight.
I think
So
she
yes,
got shamed for it too.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And she did not do anything different than probably any of us did. We go from relationship, might take a pause and go to another relationship,
Right.
whatever. Hers was just way more public and as any celebrity and just stared at and
Mhm.
taken, we pulled it apart and everybody has an opinion on it, right? And our opinions are not always facts, as we know. So I think, since she was so young when she started,
Mhm.
that can definitely play into her emotional component. I would imagine that it was very hard and she had to mask a lot. She had to pretend when the cameras are on versus how she was really handling things. That's got to be hard.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Lots of masking. I know we hear more and more that term masking these days in relation to like maybe ADHD or being on the spectrum, but masking in ways even when you're not feeling the best. And
Yeah.
makes me think of her song, Can You Even Do It in a Broken Heart, right? I don't know if
Uh-huh.
that was the actual title of it, but she alludes to that in the lyrics of that
Yes.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. And she definitely tends to be someone who, as we can see through her music, that she is a deeply emotional person. And
Mm.
yet she could stay there and I don't know if it's some acting, or just that performer in her and just
Mhm.
be flawless. Exactly what that song says. I can do it with a broken heart.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do, that's for sure.
Mm-mm.
So, how do you think growing up in the spotlight from such a young age shapes someone's sense of identity and self worth?
Yeah, I would definitely stressful, hard on our emotional ego that
Mm-hmm.
we got going on, especially at such a young age when we're just starting to create that self-esteem, that self-worth, and that she would have to keep things to herself. There's so many eyes on her, and she's just, again, just that she's so criticized from a young
Mm-hmm.
age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even just, I think of the 2008 award that
Yeah.
she won, and she got interrupted very rudely. And,
Mm-hmm.
man, that's gotta hurt. Like, that's her
Right,
moment to
right.
shine, and you
But
can't
she
even have
handled
that.
that with some grace too. I have to give her that. I mean, she handled that very as much as one can in a very awkward moment like that. You
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that throughout her career, I would say for
Right.
sure. I would assume some anxiety, not just, doubting our self-worth and self-esteem, but just anxiety as well has got to come out there. And just as a performer. And I don't know if you watched her little series. There was the sixth episode on the TV.
Yes. Was it on
Um,
Netflix? Like a
I
little
think so.
documentary?
No, it wasn't Netflix.
No?
No, I cannot remember. Maybe Disney.
Okay.
I think it was Disney. Yeah, and it was documentary of her tour, the Eras tour.
Oh, yes. Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were talking about how exhausted they all are, and you hear from the dancers
Mhm.
and everybody that puts into it, and just all that physical stress, not to mention the emotional stress, being away from loved ones, being on
Of
the go all
course.
the time. At one point, she talks about how she was sick one day and still had to go out there.
Right. And put on her best foot forward and face
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
That pressure to maybe not let down 30,000 people. That's a lot of
That
pressure.
too. Yeah, I can
Mhm.
imagine that's got to be a lot of anxiety. Like, oh my
Right.
gosh, what if they don't like me? Or what if I'm not as good tonight? Like, that has to be, as humans, that has to be in her thoughts.
Right.
I don't think she's
Right.
a robot. She just seems
Mm-mm.
like one. A good robot, not
Yeah.
a
Right.
very
Right.
emotional robot.
She has a strong work ethic. That's for
Yes.
sure. Very strong work ethic.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely probably label her like type A personality. Like, she's on the go. She's a
Mhm.
solver. Oh my goodness. Yes. And so creative. And just even watching that again, the way she could come up with these lyrics. Wow.
Yeah.
And combine them with other lyrics. Like, she'll take, I think she had Sabrina Carpenter at one point and they did a song together, or there was Gracie Adams was on there as
Oh,
well.
I love Gracie
They
Adams.
did a song.
Yeah. Yeah. She's great.
Yeah, so it was really cool how she could combine some of their songs.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, definitely. And how she raises others up, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that's for
yes,
sure. Other
she is
performers. Mhm.
a girl's girl, a
Yeah.
woman's woman, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, she definitely supports other females, and she's not one who would tear someone down just to tear them down, which,
Very true.
yeah, very unusual, I think. in our society. And even
Right.
those that have brought her down, she still like uses grace when she's defending herself or even possibly coming at them in a more positive way. Coming at them as in like, look at I succeeded. I did
Yes.
well. I think
Yes.
for one song, gosh, about being mean. Mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yep. Definitely. So her songwriting is essentially public journaling. What are the mental health benefits and risks of processing your life that openly?
Yeah, that's hard. That would be so personal, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
letting everyone, can you imagine letting everyone read your journal, your personal thoughts?
Ooh,
And
that
yet
a level of
she,
vulnerability is really, oof, that'd be tough.
yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
she takes them and she changes them, which is where the healing starts, right? So, for
Mhm.
example, maybe a bad breakup, John Mayer, just saying, a bad breakup that she makes into this song that when she sings it, maybe she doesn't think of him anymore. Maybe she puts it into another perspective,
Mhm.
right? So we see that physical change in the way she sings it and what it means for her now versus what it meant for her then, right? And
Right.
what it means to her audience. Like,
Mhm.
yes, I hear Dear John and I think of John Mayer. However, I also
Mhm.
look at where she is now and I think that's probably has a different meaning to her now.
Good, yeah, excellent point. So, Sharon, if she were to walk into your office tomorrow, what do you think she would actually need to work on? Like, what therapeutic techniques would you use with her?
I think personally a little bit of CBT, our cognitive behavioral therapy, and our DBT, the dialectical behavioral therapy. So I have training in both of those, and I like to use the art therapy with that. So whether we are working on boundaries, how to set boundaries with people so that they don't walk all over you. I would say maybe in her younger years, she really struggled with that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah. And self care, like how do we still fill our bucket as a performer, knowing that we have millions of people that we also and who are counting on us. But she has to take care of herself first. And then the last, I think, theme would be more relationships, interpersonal skills. So noticing those red flags maybe ahead of time. I believe Taylor personally is a very nice person. She seems very down to earth. I can see how maybe, again, in her younger years, she was taken advantage of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, how to do that, or how to, I think what she does now is standing up more for herself. And it's without, again, what I said earlier, without putting other people down.
Right.
She's look at my kingdom here, you know,
Mhm.
even in the newest album, she had some songs that really stood out, a father figure that really stands out about how, okay, you may have raised me, you brought me here, but this is mine now. I
Mhm.
love
Love
that.
that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So some techniques, some art therapy techniques
Mhm.
that, I've done with clients that I think maybe would be really interesting if Taylor were in front of me. So one is looking at her support system. So I would ask her to draw her galaxy. If she were the sun and the people around her are the planets, and we would see how close in proximity different planets are from her. Are they way out here in the atmosphere? Or are they a little closer? And when they go around, do any of them clash?
Mm. Mhm.
Her universe, if she were the star, the
It's not
sun,
mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
and those going around her.
It'd be
Best,
interesting to see who would be in her inner circle, in the inner
yes,
ring around her, see
yes,
who she really trusts the
absolutely.
most. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And watching that video, we see that her family goes on tour with her, like her dad, her brother, her mom, like they're all there. So what a great support system. But yeah, I'd be curious to see how close.
So who else beyond family maybe makes it in there, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps Travis Kelce?
I would assume, yes.
Right? Right.
And maybe some people that would surprise us that she doesn't really talk about or
Mm,
that aren't in the limelight like she is. The second task I would do with her would be an inside outside math. So in art therapy, I know we can do this a couple different ways. We're really working on some of that emotion regulation here, right? So maybe looking at the outside as what people expect from us. Sometimes I do it of what people see, but maybe it's more about the what for her, the expectations. Anyways, and then on the inside would be her expectations for herself.
Okay.
And we kind of see when we are looking at values, like we do in GBT, it's her life meaning her values too.
Mhm.
So we look at what is important to her, what are her own expectations, and is she meeting that on the outside world? We can also look at it. She could do her inside feelings and her outside feelings. So that's the other
Right.
way. So how she would handle, maybe this would be more like with boundaries too, how she handles the critics. If she were
Mm.
to create her own armor, what would that look like?
Wow.
What protects her from the outside, from these critics?
Yeah.
Man, I don't even like to be criticized. Like, and I only
Let
have a
alone at the
handful of
level
people.
she gets too. I mean, it's one
No,
thing in our and smaller lives. Imagine, just trying to imagine what she gets. Would this also include her own inner critic, how she comes at herself?
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Yeah. Self
Mhm.
healing. How do we bring ourselves up and encourage ourselves? Critique and what we could do better is
Mhm.
always good. But how do we also acknowledge what we do really well?
My gosh, those are all fabulous. Oh my gosh. Any other
Yes,
insights
I
you'd like to
do.
share? Yeah, no, those are great. Those are great. Any other insights?
No, I just, as we were doing this, I was thinking, I'm like, the fact that she uses songwriting and performing, she probably does not meet criteria for actual mental health because she uses, possibly, I mean, I don't know. Everyone has a story, but the fact that she uses the arts in her
Mhm.
expression, she doesn't hold in,
She has an
so
outlet for it. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Again, just showing how the arts in general can be so healing.
Definitely, and I agree with you. It would what we're seeing as her persona out there now, from what we can tell, she seems like she's doing okay mental health wise. It seems to be. Again, we don't really know, but at least from what we can tell, right? And this could be because she does do a lot to out, she does have these outlets. She has these coping skills and things she does probably
Yeah.
to help protect her mental health. And she has a support system around her that's also there to help, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We look at other children, or they're adults now, other people who have grown up
In the
and what has
spotlight.
happened to them. Yes. What has
Yeah.
happened to them and their struggles. And maybe they didn't have that support and they didn't have those outlets. And how
Mhm.
resilient is Taylor Swift to be able to go through everything, to have negativity coming at her and still be able to stand tall.
Gosh, yes. Sharon, thank you so much for engaging me in this conversation. Very interesting to look at it from this perspective of if Taylor were a client of ours. So thank you
Thank
again.
you. Thank you. It was fun to do.
And I also want to congratulate Taylor and Travis on their recent wedding. So very excited for
Yay.
them.
Yes,
Definitely.
congratulations. Mazel tov.
Yes, yes. I'd also like to thank the team behind the podcast, Jason Clayton and Juliana Wooden. Thank you for listening to Convos from the Couch. Take care, everyone.